Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to this episode of Inspiration to Achieve today, this afternoon. And it's Wednesday, and I'm here to share some wisdom with you this Wednesday. So, the first question I would like to ask in sharing this wisdom is this: who hasn't ever fallen victim to wanting to do things quicker, to get rich faster? I can say the answer is for me, yes, I have been. I've been guilty of thinking about how to do things quicker, how to get rich quicker. But I know that today, what I'm trying to do is to help with the mind shift. And even in this period that we're in, where things are slower, to help with the mind shift that allows you to be patient and allows you to focus on the bigger picture, allows you to take things in your stride to be able to accomplish the things that you want. So today I'll be talking about how to make a mind shift from desperation to aspiration. My name is Patience Ogunbona, and I am an executive transformational coach, corporate and business trainer, and a behavioral expert, as well as emotional intelligence expert, inspirational speaker, and author. My passion lies in helping introverted women to overcome limiting beliefs. By so doing, they are able to develop tenacity and high performance, as well as be able to create the life that they want by creating increased impact, influence, and income. And also, in terms of work as a corporate trainer, I collaborate with businesses, organizations, and corporations to be able to achieve what I call the 3 Ps, which is people, performance, as well as process. Synergy in these 3 areas helps you to accomplish profitability that you want, which leads to sustainability and the survival of your business. So that's me, and that's what I do. And today I really want to dive into talking about, you know, moving and making mind shifts that help us to be able to survive either in any climate that we find ourselves. I'm just trying to do a quick check of my technology to make sure that I am coming through live in a proper way and you can see me. I think it looks good. So we shall carry on. So I've asked the question, who hasn't fallen victim of, thinking about how to do things quicker, how to make money faster? Most people have. And the journey to that space is usually because desperate people tend to do desperate things. And when you fall into the situation where your focus is on being desperate, you're going to miss the mark in many ways. You're going to miss many things. So when I first started out in business, I wrote a book called Aspiration to Transformation, 10 ways to get you from your discomfort zone to your empowerment zone. At the time, my desire was to really fulfill my ambitions and the things that I had in my heart. And part of that was to help people. So I was hoping it to be a quick get rich quick scheme of writing a book. It wasn't. But what I believe is that that book was essential for many people, essential for me to write as well, because it's allowed me to review my journey and my mindset. And it has become a book that has helped me as well to think about where I am right now and haven't done this for 3 years. And to make that shift again to carry on with the process. So I would say that if you get desperate, the truth is it bad to be desperate? The answer to a certain degree is yes and no. So, no, by saying no, I mean, when I was working, I was really desperate to fulfill my potential. I was really desperate to look ahead and make things work. I was desperate for change. So that was important. But in order for me to be able to make that change in a way that was feasible, that was right, I had to go back to my aspirations. So, and I think that that's where my mindset comes from, and focus on that. And that desperation was necessary because you continue to, unless you desire change, unless you really fight for change, you can keep going through the motions, keep going through autopilot and never make a difference to your life. So I think that if you define desperation as desiring change for your life, then I think that works greatly. By the way, if you're watching this, I am streaming on Facebook. I'm streaming on LinkedIn. So it's a bit difficult to monitor comments, but please feel free to share with me. Hi, BC. Thanks for joining me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. Feel free to make comments. Feel free to share your own views. I would love to hear from you. And when you watch this on replay, please make your comments, share your views. I would love to know opposing views or views that tell more of a story about what I'm saying. So basically, being desperate for change is great. But if you sit too much in a space of desperation, that's where the messages that you get, the direction and the pathway that you follow becomes tough. You need to make that transition from that space of desperation to a space of aspiring. And I will share more what I mean by that. In the middle of making the journey from desperation, obviously, you have to go through a transformational process to get to aspiration. So, in terms of my book, maybe that the saying aspiration to transformation is like, for now, after I started on the business journey, I found myself, listen to the voices of people telling you things like, you need to make 1 million in 5 minutes. You need to make 5K in 5 seconds, or else, you're not in business. Business is not serious. And you fall into the trap of not really allowing things to bed in, not really allowing things to take root. And you begin to filter from one place to the other, And again, when you don't get the results that you want, that's when people begin to label themselves as failures, and begin to discount any progress that you have made, because you're so desperate to see that the results are happening right now. As my mentor, John Maxwell, would say, everything worthwhile is uphill. So if you're going to climb uphill and sprint uphill, good luck to that. You're going to run out of breath. You're going to run out of focus. You're going to get disorientated by running uphill too fast. That's the way life works, isn't it? So for me, and the way I help my clients, I introduce myself by saying I help women to develop tenacity, because you need tenacity to be able to do anything, that is worth doing, to be able to climb uphill. Most of us start a career and we want to ascend on the career. And you need to focus on, how do I get there step by step? And this is what I mean by moving from desperation to aspiration. So, like I said, desperation makes people do desperate things, and desperate things don't always lead to the right thing. So what does aspiration look like? Is about making change that is sustainable. It's about creating something that is manageable. And it's about tuning into why you are doing the thing in the first place. And that is where aspiration sits, in being able to, tune into the why. Why am I doing this? And to focus on what that answer gives you to be able to achieve the goals that you want. So here are some of the things that I want to talk about, which is that what does desperation look like? So there's a lot of competitiveness and comparing yourself to other people and fixating on missing out. So you have the fear of missing out. So you are in one program after the other, not finishing one program, you're jumping to the other. Now, am I saying these are things I haven't done? It's lessons learned and burnt that have brought me to this space where I am now, where I can help people, and I can help people see how they can work things through to be able to achieve the goals that they want. When you focus on competition, when you focus on what's happening around you, other than what you really want to achieve, what happens is you discount the effort that you need to put in. And you begin to find, who is going to help me to just jump the gun? Who is going to help me to find the shortcuts? There is no shortcuts to anywhere worth going. And there is no drive-through breakthrough. Because why? It's not McDonald's. It's not McDonald's where there's a drive-through. You're gonna, even to set up that drive-through, obviously McDonald's had to go through a lot of processes to be able to get there. But when you want to jump the gun and go, I just want to drive through to my breakthrough, it's not gonna work. And that gets you desperate, that gets you clutching at straws, doing all sorts of things. That gets you thinking, oh, this course is taking too long. They said I would get the quick results, you know. It's nice to be results oriented, but when you're results oriented, don't forget to celebrate and look at the evolution and the shifts that you're making. Most companies spend a lot of years doing research and development before they are able to bring out a product. So, in that space, if you are focused on desperation, you're not aspiring for what that product or that service is going to be. You're more desperate about getting it out there and making the quick buck. And that is where the issue then lies, in then creating something mediocre rather than achieving mastery. Mastery takes time, expertise takes time. And when you begin to focus more on the desperation of the outcomes, then you lose the opportunity and the ability to establish yourself, you know, your expertise, find the things that you need to do to achieve the goals that you want, and develop mastery. And how does mastery happen? Mastery happens from consistency, day in, day out, doing something, building layer by layer. Even when you think about yourself on the transformation journey. So we say that, I've said that, obviously, desperation, you move to aspiration. In the middle of it, there is a need for transformation. And in transformation, you're going to be peeling off layers of years of conditioning and habits that are going to sabotage you. If, for example, you're a perfectionist, okay? If you're a perfectionist, then you're not going to let things go very quickly. You're not going to follow the principle of testing it out, looking at the feedback that it brings and working it. You just really focus more on, I need to get it right, you know? So that particular behavior will take time to change, won't it? It will take time for you to work on your mindset. What if you are somebody that procrastinates, or somebody that, you know, high I personalities disc in the disc profile? High I personalities are people who do what they call squirrel. You know, yes, they see things. The next thing, fear of missing out is a real problem for people, high eyes, and getting bored, you know, not being able to focus on what you need to achieve, and the length of time it takes, the nurturing that it requires to get to the answer. And the truth about it is, people would obviously, you know, say things like, "Oh, you are not there yet. You haven't made a million yet," you know. But thankfully, there is a group of other people that are coming out, and you can see, you know, that there are stories that people tell about the behind the scenes struggles that it takes to get to where you are, to where they are. So I know that some people, they would read the biographies of all the established success stories that we hear, and it's just jumping through the loops to get to the end where it says the end, they became a billionaire, you know, and then you just think, oh yeah, I just need to know the quick fix and the tools, the formula that they used, forgetting that these people evolved over time to become what they become. So I just want to say that, you know, why am I saying this in this time, you know, or why am I saying this? We're going nowhere very quickly. And that can be very frustrating, isn't it? But I think a lot of people have taken the time, myself included, to really see this pause as a blessing, because I was able to look back and think and get away from the mindset of desperation, and get away from the mindset that I started off with, where people will sell you courses to offer you the best solutions that will arrive there quicker. And the truth is, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because why? You need to get through the layers first. You can't expect a child to be born today and walk to tomorrow. It's not possible. And in the same way, you have to go through the learning curve, which means that you have to go through different levels of consciousness and competence to get to where you need to get to deliver those excellent results. And it takes time. On the other hand, it takes investment. So, what are some of the ways that you can shift your mindset from a place of desperation to aspiration? Let's list some of them as we go along. I want to do a quick check to see that I am live and it's functioning well. If you hear a bit of a sound, it's me checking my system. Okay, I can't hear it. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so that looks brilliant. And so, what are the key points that I want to make with regards to helping you make that mind shift? Let's take a look at some of them here. Let's take a quick look at some of them. So, the first one would be being long-term focused. It's nice to think about in the short term. You need to be taking action. You need to be consistent. But to shift your mindset from desperation to aspiration, you need to focus on the long term. You need to focus on the long-term view of what you are trying to create, what you're trying to achieve, because that is where you want to get to. To be able to create something sustainable, you have to start from the foundations. If you have a short-term view, you create a shoddy foundation. So you need a long-term view to be able to create that foundation that will sustain the business that you're trying to build. What's the second one? While you're results oriented, which is good because results make a difference. In my coaching, I'm very results oriented, but I don't promise people results in 4 weeks. I tell you that in 90 days, I can guarantee you that if you work on this specific process, you will achieve these specific results. So I work on that, but it's based on the work you put in, right? So what will I be checking for during that period of 90 days? Each month, I'm looking at your evolution and the shifts, and I'm allowing you and giving you that how do you call it? Making you focus on that to be able to move forward. Because guess what? Desperation and is leads to despair. And despair leads to paralysis of action. So you won't take action if you're in a despairing state. You won't. So what then happens is, if you set a target of over the next 90 days, I want to achieve this. Each month, you're going to take stock of where you are, what you have achieved, and celebrate your evolution and your shifts. And being able to being results oriented doesn't mean that you only focus on the outcome that you wanted. Focus on the other things that are also going to happen as a result of you actually taking that leap, making that journey to be able to start the process. And once you do that, you're going to be able to celebrate. The other thing to do with aspiration is that they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So the key thing when it comes to aspiration, we all know that no man is an island. And there is nobody that has created anything worthwhile that you can see in the world that has done it by themselves. So when you are in aspiration mode rather than desperation mode, you're going to take the time to nurture connections and relationships that will allow you to collaborate and create what I call the increased impact, influence, and income. In the longer term, those collaborations mean that you are able to get synergy with people that matter, people that can support your vision and you support their vision. So being in a space and a mindset that is more aspiration focused rather than desperation will allow you to think in that manner. The other thing is, many people that focus in a desperate way forget about their strength zone. You need to stay in your strength zone. And sometimes, because your strengths and your potential is buried underneath in the subconscious where you have never used it before in some instances. So take, for example, for me, I worked in audit most of my life, and I didn't recognize the potential for speaking that I had, or the potential for training that I had. So when I came out, yes, I did training and I was expecting it to happen very quickly. But no, because it's my strength zone anyway, it meant that it took me a while to discover this strength. But once I discovered it, I then had to nurture it for perfection. I had to nurture it so that when I'm speaking on video like I'm doing to you, or speaking live on stage, I needed to know what is required to be able to engage, to be able to provide value. So it takes time. And when you are aspiring rather than being desperate, now I could have been desperate to say, "Oh, I discovered this. How about being a celebrity? And how about speaking on different topics here and there? I'm an inspirational speaker, so I find things that inspire people, and I tend to work on the stories that will inspire people. And all that will take time. So, what am I encouraging you to do? When you're aspiring, you are staying in your strength zone. And it is said that over time, because you stay in your strength zone and you nurture your potential and what you're good at, what happens is you develop mastery, you develop expertise. The law of least effort begins to work on your behalf because people will see you and it will look like less effort. But that's because behind the scenes, you have focused on your strength zone and you have mastered the way to provide it. What happens as well is if you're more focused on aspiration rather than desperation, you will lose the fear of what we call fear of missing out because you are focused on a pathway. When everybody is flowing upstream, you've got to ask yourself whether the food is upstream, the food that you eat or the food that you want is upstream. If it's not, are you going to wait and go downstream because that's where it is? Because if you choose to follow people in desperation of missing out for that food, you'll get there and realize, oh dear, I can't eat this. It's not for me. It's not what I want. It's not my strength zone. And now there are so many of us in this pool fighting for the same food. Um, you know, and this year I learned the principle from a book about Think and Grow Rich that talks about your creativity is what gets you there, not your competitiveness, not your comparing against others. Because once you begin to do that, you discount the things that you're good at and are capable of delivering. The other thing with being aspiration focused is you're focused on preparation and strategy rather than just you're focused on preparation and strategy rather than just delivery, because that's what is repeatable. When you prepare, then you are more likely to have success, and preparation can take time. But on the other hand, when you have a strategy is repeatable. It's something that you've developed. Then you can repeat it over time. And strategy can take time to develop. It can take minds to develop. It can take coaching. It can take support to develop. Because consistency, doing things every day to change and to shift things. Mindset cannot shift in an instant. Illumination and clarity shifts in an instant, in some regard. I heard a story of one coach that told a very funny story, and I like that story. He said, for like the first few years of his business when he started, he was in every conference that you could think about on earth, and he kept meeting a particular guy. So the guy called him and said to him, can I ask you a question? And he said yes, and he was expecting this fantastic question. And he said, when do you do your work to get results? I've seen you in every single conference, and I guess he should have asked himself the question, but that's beside the point. But the coach said something. He said he hit the realization that he kept going around every conference trying to find the answer. What's the answer? What's the quickest way? Well, the answer that he needed lay in him going back home, sitting down, asking himself some key questions. And I will share some key questions with you at the end of this live session, asking himself some key questions, and then doing the work that it required. And he knew it would take time. Well, once he created it, it became repeatable. So that's what I'm saying, that it takes time. The other thing is, think about stability. Stability is more what will get you going rather than happiness and the euphoria that comes with the highs and the lows, because you would not accept failure if you don't have that understanding that, failure is a bridge to success. So you take failure very difficult because you don't recognize that people have failed over time. In fact, I read a story where it said that at some point Amazon was going to go bankrupt. The same Amazon that now is really flying high and has mastered the skill of doing multi-facet types of businesses and running it. That's taking time. That business has existed for 23 years, not 5 seconds, and not 5 years. So I think it's important to remember that. And the focus is on mastery over mediocrity when it comes to aspiration. You need to be focused to say, I want to achieve that mastery. I want to be known for something. I want to be the go-to person. If that's your focus, then it's going to take time, and you're going to shift from desperation and really work on yourself. I guess this message I'm bringing is easier for me to bring, or will I say it's a learned message, because maybe being called patience, for example, means that I can be patient with people, I can be patient with myself, but I've learned over time that that is what gets you the results. That's what gets you the grounding. That's what keeps you focused, is by shifting your gaze from being desperately chasing after. Because I've heard the saying that what you're chasing after is running away. I don't know if you've heard that. But so if you're going to be chasing, then it's not going to work. But if you're going to be strategically setting the trap to catch it, then you know what I mean. If you paint that visual in your mind, if I'm chasing something is running after, but if I just come and I decide, okay, it comes out at so time, I'm just going to set the trap and walk away. But to set that trap, you've got to think, you've got to study where it moves and everything, and that will take a bit more time. But once it's caught, and that's it, and you can move on. And I think that's important. So the key message here is making that mind shift from just focusing on now to where do you want to see yourself in 5 years, and what journey will it take? And you're climbing an uphill thing, because everything worthwhile is uphill, right? Everything worthwhile, everything sustainable, everything that is going to last for the lifetime, that is going to leave a legacy, takes time to build. So it's, if you're in a position where you need the money, you need the sustenance, then you can't take erratic decisions. You have to find something that stabilizes you first. And I think that's the key thing I would say to anybody. you know my course, Aspiration to Transformation, which I wrote, is all about, that. It's all about having a transition plan that allows you to, first of all, shift your mindset to understand that you need to be in a transformation process to get to that stage that you want to get to. That you need to take your dreams and yourself through a transformation process. But when you now get to the level of realizing the dream, the next thing is you need to stay away from desperation and move back into a journey of transformation to get to aspiration. That's what I'm trying to say. So, what are some of the key questions you need to ask yourself? That is what I want to share with you to be able to finish this session. And the first question you need to ask yourself and really tune into it is, what do I want? Why is that question important? Because when you don't focus on where you are going and keep looking at where others are going and get desperate, you lose sight of what you really want. And you begin to chase and listen to what others say is the definition of success. I've already said it last week in my video when I shared that you need to think about what does success mean to me and create a success pathway. So the second one is, what do I need? What do I need? You might need coaching. You might need mentoring. You might need going on a course for a year. I've known people that have taken a step back, haven't struggled, and looked at everything and gone, I need this course. And that course will take them 12 months to do. But they are willing to work on it. They're willing to do it. Don't always look for the quicker way to solve your problem. Look for the more effective and efficient way to solve your problem. And that is not always shorter. Not always shorter. Sometimes it can be short and it can be quick, especially if you meet a mentor that can just give you the 1, 2, 3. But as far as I know, the truth about it is, even people with mentors, I have mentors in the John Maxwell team who have been mentored by people and who have told the story of their own journey of mentoring that has taken time to be able to establish and to build and nurture the results. So the third question you need to ask yourself is, where am I going? Where are you going? Define where you are going. You are not going to everywhere everybody's going. Some people will be shouting how they need to build multi-million pound businesses. No, you don't need to build multi-million pound businesses before you can be happy, before you can achieve your life goals. You can, it's always good, and I encourage it. I don't think you should think mediocre. I don't think, they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So sometimes if you're struggling and you feel like you are in desperation, take the time to prepare yourself, the teacher will appear, the opportunity and the door will open, and you will be able to step into that next level. So these are the questions I believe that you need to ask yourself to constantly remind yourself of moving from a place of just being desperate to a place of aspiring to achieve something. Also, they always say, and I say to clients, what is the problem in the world that you want to solve, that your product want to solve? What is that need that you want to meet, right? If that's the case, sometimes it takes a while to discover how your product, how your services meets that need and meets it differently from another person. So you've got to aspire to get to that key ingredient that is you, that is your own way of doing things, that needs a discovery process. So I'm glad that I've taken the time to do this and glad that it's all worked properly. So if you're a business person who is looking to develop their business and set it up and develop strategies, and you need help to be able to do that, get in touch with me and let's have a conversation. Especially like I said, I focus a lot on introverted women because I know that there are some mind shifts that an introverted woman needs to make as well, on top of all other mind shifts, because of the way we are wired and the way we need to approach things that might be different from the strategies that you have been given that works for other people and might not work for you. So if that's you, happy to have a chat to be able to clarify and to help you to find solutions and strategies. It can be from a 1 hour strategy session to a coaching package that will allow you to work with me for 90 days. If that's you, happy to. What if you're a professional woman and you're looking to develop yourself, to build your confidence, to build your tenacity, to move up the ladder, to develop your leadership skills? Then I have a program as well and a coaching package which can be bespoke and aligned to you, which I call Harnessing Your Strengths to Thrive. We could talk about that and I could help you to achieve your goals. So whatever you do, I'm wishing you a good rest of the week. Take whatever wisdom that has come out of this and use it to your benefit, and make sure that you focus on your transformation, which is your birthright, to get to that next level of success. Take care and God bless.